Update. Though I bring up Donald Trump in this video, I no longer support him and may not vote for him in 2020 due to his aggression against Russia, who's an innocent party. America's turned into a warmonger for Loree McBride's deep state. If I don't vote for Trump, I may not vote at all. Vladimir Putin has been forced to cancel his compliance with the INF Treaty because of Trump's treachery. I voted for Trump because I thought he'd be fair with Russia. Trump's disappointed me. Oliver Stone's Putin interviews gives you a more objective assessment of Vladimir Putin than you'll get from mainstream Western news. I no longer support Donald Trump because he's turned into a war hawk for Loree McBride's deep state. Loree's still mad at Trump because he won't worship her, but she's probably less mad at him now that Putin's withdrawn from the INF Treaty. Nevertheless, I support Putin over Trump any day. And I have a link to the Oliver Stone's Putin interviews underneath this video. Now on to my main subject about the biggest problem in the world today, Loree McBride. What Loree McBride's done to Hollywood and Star Trek. One good thing that's come about because of Loree's destruction of Hollywood is that I got back into my writing, determined to fix it. After watching her work in Independence Day Resurgence, I told myself, you can fix this. Movies are a reflection of our culture and they teach the young generation values. Right now, what's coming out of Hollywood is teaching our young people that well thought out morals don't matter, that all that counts is a good presentation and being good at faking it. Loree's a fake and a liar. She's a real shapeshifter, borrowing an analogy from Vogler's Writer's Journey. She's got her presentation down pat, but underneath it all is emptiness, jealousy, and rage. That's what she is on the inside. It's going to take a long time for me to finish Silver Skies, but it's forming in my mind, and it's going to be at least 100 times better than anything produced by Loree McBride. Loree McBride is the secret executive producer behind Star Trek Discovery and Independence Day Resurgence. I personally think she kills off good screenwriters to make her sorry ones look good. It ain't working, woman. A person with a pea brain can tell what's going on. I find it interesting that Star Trek Discovery, one of the most vapid productions ever, has a rating of 7.4 out of 10 at IMDb. Lies are raining online. Loree turns out Hollywood productions not out of a passion for craft writing or acting, but because she's obsessed with her image as Hollywood producer and Hollywood sex goddess. She just tacks on productions that she can be associated with to announce to the world that she's world famous and better than all the nobodies out there. Her creations show her motives, the fantastic cinematography, but writing and acting that has no soul. She meets with Satan at least weekly. No kidding, folks. This is for real. This is where she's getting her power to control everybody. Satan's the head of the evil Jesuit order. He's real pissed at me because I got his former leader, Zach Knight, to my side, and Loree's taken Zach's place. The Jesuit order is a very powerful organization. It's now split right down the middle, with half the Jesuits on my side and half on Loree's side. Satan's abandoned Zach and now sides with Loree. Loree is a very evil woman. You're a somebody to Loree if you share her high opinion of herself and align yourself with her views. If you're trash in your heart, egotistical, sociopathic, narcissistic, she'll work you over and give you a respectable image as long as you worship her. The whole universe revolves around her, and it bores or horrifies those who see this woman for what she really is. You're a nobody if you don't worship her as the sexiest, hottest Hollywood woman in all of eternity. This means Donald Trump, myself, the real Brent Spiner, most Christians, most Republicans, sane Democrats, sane independents are nobodies to Loree. If you're a left-wing lunatic or a right-wing war lover and worship Loree as a sex goddess, she'll make you a somebody, even if you're a pile of garbage. The key is you got to be a bit mentally ill, sociopathic, jealous, narcissistic to belong to Loree's club. If you meet that criteria, she'll polish you up, make you look good, and print lies about all your enemies to give you the best possible image. Donald does not like Loree, and so she's after him with everything in her arsenal. I don't think Loree's going to win unless she succeeds in killing off her opposition. She thinks we're all stupid, but we're not. We can tell something stinks in Denmark, and Hollywood has gone to the dogs from 2016 to now. That's when Loree basically took over Hollywood, Loree and Angelina Ballerina. I actually liked Barack Obama, and I'm not anti-Democrat, but anything Loree touches, she destroys. Loree's running Hollywood, the Democratic Party, the mainstream Republican Party, and trying to run the world. Kick her out. She entered the world as a Jesuit clone whose job was to sabotage the real Brent's love for me, realizing this isn't the image she wants. Though it is her real job, she's gotten involved in Hollywood to make herself credible as a Hollywood glamour queen to feed her pride. She really thinks she's better than everyone else, and those who disagree with her self-assessment deserve to die. That's the depths of this woman. I've watched a couple of episodes of Star Trek Discovery and was so bored, I ended up turning it off after about a half an hour. The only thing they get right is cinematography. The writing sucks. The writing has no soul. The fact that Hollywood turns out this crap and gives it so much hype is an insult to all of us writers who do it for passion and craft and not fame or money. The Star Trek Discovery actors all seem on ego trips, like their producer, Loree. Main problem, the writing and acting has no soul. It mirrors the emptiness of the producers. Like a typical sociopath, Loree knows the talk, but anybody with an ounce of emotional IQ can tell this woman has an iceberg for a heart, which is why everything she touches turns out empty of soul and meaning. When she speaks, her tone's bitter, resentful, and vindictive, while feigning concern for those who share her views in order to build her following or to attract fellow haters who feign loving motives but are actually motivated by pride and worship of self. They come up with all this humanitarian goody-goody talk, but what they say and what they do are total opposites. Loree preaches love, but practices hate. She only loves you if you worship her and obey her or enjoy violent, lustful, murderous sex. If you're too refined for her and criticize her as a whore or hussy, she'll get you labeled as mentally ill somehow, or she'll accuse you of what she herself does. She loves doing this to Donald Trump. Nothing like projection to discredit your enemies. Those who dislike her suffer consequences. They become her targets to be murdered, raped, slandered, destroyed, brain-controlled, polluted, made ill, impersonated with their identities and money stolen by her clone army, or taken down by any and all means. I just can't sit back and allow this woman to destroy all the goodness left on planet Earth. The review I'll read is blisteringly accurate, but never fear, Loree, like the Jesuit order and Satan she serves, is a sly fanatic who doesn't retreat before anything. If there's one single thing Star Trek Discovery does well, it proves that just because you own the rights to something doesn't mean you have the capacity to make it or even understand it for that matter. Star Trek isn't just a name. Like every long-running piece of fiction, it has its own set of defining characteristics. For some reason, the creators of Discovery have chosen to disregard every single one of them. The question is, why? Perhaps they wanted to move with the times and innovate. That in itself wouldn't be a problem. But this innovation feels entirely ego-driven. Why turn Klingons into orcs, especially in a prequel scenario, only for innovation's sake? Narratively, there's nothing new here at all. They've just made the next generation big-budget space war fiction with a popular name brand on it. All right, perhaps they wanted to create an action-packed space opera for the masses, but they could have done so in an original universe of their own, seeing how the defining characteristics of Star Trek don't really fit their purpose. Even a spin-off would have been better than this. So that leaves us with two logical explanations. One is just naked profiteering. Star Trek's widely popular, therefore the big investment. Cynical, but likely true. And two, they just don't understand what Star Trek's about, nor do they care. And that's not even the worst part. The worst part is that these people have nothing to say. There's no message here, only the same regurgitated social agenda that you can read anywhere on the internet at any given time. No matter where you stand on current issues, there's no interesting perspective here for anybody. Gone are the original ideas, outlandish plots, smart dialogue and philosophical conundrums that made Star Trek what it was. Now it's just self-righteous people shouting at each other and things exploding in space. As if to compensate, the show is massively overproduced. There are copious amounts of lens flare, bloom, Dutch angles, shaky swirly cameras, and unnecessary editing. It looks like the frame never stays in the same place for an even second. Watching an episode of Discovery feels like stepping into a tumble dryer. Things keep swirling all over the place even when there's no action on screen. I strongly suspect that if this wasn't called Star Trek, it would have no hope to succeed. And then she says, normally I don't give a 1 in 10 star ratings, but these should be reserved for the most unlikely situations. I gave it a good thought, but couldn't find any single redeemable quality that this show has. Don't touch this with a 10-foot pole. So there is a blisteringly accurate review of Star Trek. She's not only ruined Star Trek, she's ruined just about everything that's coming out of Hollywood now. And I watched Independence Day Resurgence because my husband Brent Spiner plays in it. And he did do the acting there, but it's not his fault that Loree has taken over Star Trek using her power as the leader of the Jesuit order to do so. Jesuit order is, like I said, a very powerful organization. They literally took over Paramount in the 1990s simply because Brent Spiner was in love with me. And they tried to destroy his love for me by creating Loree McBride in a Jesuit cloning lab. This woman is deadly. Now let's get on to something positive. I am working on the ending to my Silver Skies, and I discovered I had, the Myers-Briggs personality test. Well, I just read a really, really good book called The INFJ Writer, and it's really shown me how to approach my writing for Star Trek, and I'm not Star Trek, for Silver Skies, and I can just see visions of the book in my mind. And right now I'm doing a lot of research, and I am an INF, I think they call it P writer. I took the Myers-Briggs test. I took 3 different Myers-Briggs free tests online, and I'm an intuitive writer, and I am INFP. I think I got that right. And I think Brent is INFJ. Let me tell you something. That Brent Spiner clone is not an intuitive type. And you could probably introduce this as evidence in court. He's a sociopath. I bet you could do a scan on that Brent Spiner clone's brain and determine that he's a sociopath, and then do a scan on the real Brent Spiner's brain, and you'll determine that I think he's intuitive, because I know him very well. I think he's an INFJ, which is the least common type. You may say, how accurate are Myers-Briggs? Well, you can't really categorize people into 16 categories, but I think it's accurate in the sense that we all tend to be we take certain mental, emotional approaches to life. And the intuitive type, I'm called the mediator type, and we have to be internally motivated for any project we get involved with or we lose interest. It has to be something that we believe in. And that's why I've taken up Silver Skies, because I'm determined, with God's help and using the talent he's given me, to help fix Hollywood. And I think Steven Spielberg, the real Spielberg, I think there's a clone of him out there too. Loree's got a clone army, is working with me on this. So just pray for us. But I have a link where you can listen to a music video that I made of the INFJ writer recommends that intuitive writers create a music playlist for each of your characters to help you get in the zone to write in their point of view. And I created that, and it makes you feel like you can feel the movie. So I'll have a link for that where you can download it to your computer and listen to it. It's really inspiring. Pray for me as I work on Silver Skies. I'm trying to fix Hollywood. It's just so discouraging, all the empty, meaningless garbage that's coming out right now.